Alright everyone, welcome back. It's been actually 8 months. So we're pausing probably permanently the series on human nature. We'll see. These videos are gonna go until I finish my dissertation. Look at my little hairs. So it's gonna be articles that relate to what I'm working on for my dissertation that I think are interesting and also that I will need to know more in depth for the research that I will be doing. I'm so excited. Thanks for joining me. Let's go learn new cool things. Yay! I completely forgot that I had, wiggly, hopefully it's that stops. I forgot I had this fancy little light thing that from when my neighbor moved out. So we're trying that because we are. Okay, so I mentioned this article in the Solidarity research article. This one is called Racism, the Language of Reduced Recidivism and Higher Education in Prison Toward an Anti-Racist Praxis. It is, in fact, by Erin Castro. I have no idea why I was so silly in the last video. It was published in 2018, and so the research question is, this is a quote from Castro, "My exploration here is to consider how dominantly endorsed and recognized ways of measuring educational impacts and outcomes, specifically an uncritical focus on reduced recidivism, emerge from systemic bias, that is, from dispositions that originate and exist in a world that accepts racial inequality as normal and often justified." I fucking love this article and I'm so excited. So I'll try and link them if I remember to do that when I post it. The main points, so this is a really cool fact. Cool, yeah. The United States incarcerates more people than any other country in the history of the world. Come at me. So the focus of this article is the language of reduced recidivism implies access to post-secondary education inside prisons is provided as a potential fix to what appears to be a large individual rates of crime and unsuccessful individual attempts at re-entry. So an individualistic framing of a systemic problem. So back in reference to that initial statistic, we have a mass incarceration problem, not specifically a crime problem or a problem with people who just can't seem to stop being criminals. Yay! So staying true to liberalist ideology, this framing, so the framing of reduced recidivism, takes a systems issue and imposes it on the individual. Our carceral system and mass policing are the problems. Those are the system. Over the 2 million incarcerated people, they are not the problem. When looking at these systems, it's clear that they disproportionately impact Black and Latinx people, and people that live in poverty, and the LGBTQ population as well. So these are Ohio specific statistics because they're also part of the paper I'm writing. So in 2018, the same year that this article was published, Ohio had the nation's second largest prison population, second only to Kentucky. That's from the Vera Institute. So Ohio prison populations overrepresent Black individuals at so 43% of the incarcerated population versus only 12% of the Ohio population, and Latinx people with 5% of the prison population versus 3% of the Ohio population, while simultaneously underrepresenting the majority white population, which constitutes 81% of the Ohio population, but only 52% of those individuals that are incarcerated, and those statistics are from the Prison Policy Institute. So Castro asks, if recidivism rates were to magically reduce tomorrow, what would be the primary justification for higher education in prison? Does the work of higher education in prison stop if recidivism rates are reduced to an agreed upon acceptable number, whatever that might be? The answer is obviously no. Especially because something I'm talking about in my paper, so not this article, but goodness, I can't think of what the bill is called, but it just passed starting this year in 2023. Currently incarcerated people are re-eligible for the Pell Grant, which they have not been eligible for since the 1994 crime bill. Guess who supported that? I'll give you a hint. It's fucking Biden. Okay. Quote, direct quote from the article. Constructing higher education as a solution to extreme recidivism rates only further threatens to obscure the larger economic, political, and social context that undermine individuals' post-incarceration lives in society, such as the difficulties in securing sustainable and meaningful employment, affordable and safe housing, quality education, among other human endeavors that are disproportionately more difficult for communities of color. Here are some statistics about racism within the carceral our justice system from the article. So over 65% of incarcerated people serving life without parole for nonviolent offenses are Black or African American. Prosecutors are almost twice as likely to file mandatory minimum charges against Black and African American individuals than whites, which just highlights how this is a whole justice system issue, not just like the police. Despite similar drug use frequency among racial and ethnic lines, Black and African American people are arrested at 29% versus only being 12% of the population. Finally, and obviously even as stated by Castro, this is not an exhaustive list. I didn't even include all of the examples in the article because, again, the goal here is trying to keep these sort of short. But if you know me, you know that this one's really important. So voter disenfranchisement. In most states, felons lose the right to vote indefinitely, while simultaneously being bombarded with these concepts like recidivism and integration and being a productive member of society, while participatory citizenship is actively withheld from them. So overall, McGovern, so this is Castro citing another article or research study done by McGovern et al. From 2009, found that white individuals released from prison have the lowest levels of recidivism and Black individuals have the highest levels of recidivism, that race is a bigger determinant of recidivism than criminality in our hyper-racialized justice system. So states, so stats, stats like these, in any stat that I've listed so far, are frequently used by the media to portray certain portions of the population, words are hard, as inherently more criminal than the others, or more prone to criminal activity, or at risk. So in this video, I just want to be explicitly clear. Those numbers are a reflection of a justice system based on white supremacy and racism. Our justice system criminalizes Black, Latinx, poor, gender nonconforming people, frequently just for existing. So examples of that you can look at, like in current news today, would be all of the anti-trans legislation that's passing. Then in some states it is now illegal for a person that could be perceived as being a man to dress like a woman. It is illegal to be trans in public. Housing encampment sweeps where they arrest people for loitering or they throw away all those people's possessions. These are examples of how just existing becomes a crime. This is why we say the whole damn system is guilty as hell. So, main takeaways: Castro, and this time the author is actually Castro. Again, no idea what my brain was thinking last time, is making the point that gauging the effectiveness of a prison in education program on recidivism upholds the systems that put people in prison and in a place where they were able to enroll in a education in prison program in the first place. When we talk about non-carceral higher education, we obviously don't frame its usefulness in terms of recidivism, because that would be implying that the current student body is on track to be incarcerated in the future. So the reverse is true as well. Like when we look at higher education in prison through the lens of recidivism, we are assuming that the current student population would otherwise, without the intervention of higher education and the ability to enroll in a higher education in prison program, would end up back in jail, which again brings us back to the whole system and who is criminalized to begin with. So yes, those people, the currently incarcerated individuals, are forever members of a criminalized other. So even after their release, even if they successfully reintegrate into society and they do not are not re-arrested. They are then considered reformed criminals. It's a great question would be like, why is that? Like, who benefits from having a perpetually ostracized and criminalized group? And it's multiple groups. Just in this video, we're focusing on this specific group of criminalized people, but a lot of groups are ostracized and they are kept subjugated to the rest of society. And who benefits from that being the status quo? That's a lot of things, and actually I feel like this was much shorter than I anticipated, so now I feel like I should have gone over more stuff. But hopefully that kind of makes sense. Definitely, if you have questions, always put them in the comments, because I would love to, one, know what other people are thinking and how I can make things make more sense. And yeah, these are supposed to be conversational. Like, tell me. Let me know. Otherwise, go forth and do good things. Hopefully I'm actually planning on making another one this week, because I have a lot of reading to get through. Wish me luck.